Hello everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, is my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, creator. What else are you? Enthusiast, Jacob Gloth.
Enthusiast?
Yeah.
It's an interesting... Yeah, because usually it's like, there's something enthusiast.
No, he's a Jacob
Plane
Gloth is an
drone
enthusiastic person.
Okay.
You're enthusiastic. Yeah, you're an enthusiast. You're enthusiastic about the world.
Well, that's very sweet of you, maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see how this goes.
It's a compliment. So, I have a question for you, though.
You don't want to be enthusiastic about everything. There's some pretty messed up things in the world.
I think you have one specific thing that you have to be enthusiastic about right now, and that's pitching a television program. So bring your enthusiastic behavior to pitching a television show. Titled...
I don't know about that. Well, I've actually got 3 working titles.
Oh, shit.
And I don't really like any of them, to be honest.
Okay.
So, but don't question the titles, okay? Because you're going to make...
I'm gonna make jokes.
Assertions in your mind, and those assertions will be correct, but I don't want to, give things away too quickly.
Should we have
so
a
the
vote?
3 titles are Fantasia, or Dead Man's Tour, or The Businessman's Trip.
Okay, I like them.
All right. Now,
I don't think we could do Fantasia.
Did you draw any connections in your mind to something?
Well, Fantasia is a Disney movie, so I don't think we could do that.
Okay, well, we can because titles you can't copyright titles.
They could copyright the word Fantasia.
Charlie, no, but you can't do that with titles. Any books can be titled the same thing.
Okay.
Do you know how many songs are called the same thing?
Yeah, that's true. Do you know how many Hey Judes there are? At least
like
one.
2.
At least. I don't know.
There's the original, and there's probably one after it that was like, I kind of want to ride off this Hey Jude train.
Yeah, like there's probably also a couple like live albums that have Hey Jude on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't steal the title if your intent is to like ride off of the other person's wave.
Yeah, but whenever someone
If you just have
Googles
the
our
same
show,
title, that's fine.
whenever someone Googles our show, they'll just be like, "Oh, it's Mickey Mouse, and he's fighting a wizard. He's fighting the devil."
Yeah, see, that's kind of the reason I think The Dead Man's Tour or The Businessman's Trip might be better.
I think The Dead Man's Tour is a good title.
Okay.
Personally.
You're gonna like even more than when I explain.
I imagine
this is a detective story. It's a short 5-part series, 1 season. Very concise and particular narrative.
Is it about a private dick? Or a
She's a
dick?
private detective. Her name's Isabelle Coldworks.
She's a private dick.
I was very inspired by, obviously, Sherlock Holmes and Hercule Poirot for this, but I tried to make her different in ways that I could.
She's a woman.
So she's a drug fiend. So she's
like Sherlock Holmes.
very into the narcotics and psychedelics and
maybe she's really into reefer. Can she just be a pothead?
We'll get there, Charlie. It will all come together.
Okay. Ooh.
Not the Beatles song, just the phrase "come together."
The action of coming together.
Yep. She works best when she's sober, but I sort of figured it like a Superman state. So Superman, at all times, he could hear everything, and it's kind of overwhelming for him, right? And so when she's sober, she has those superior detective abilities, the analytical.
She can't. She just can't stop solving crimes.
Well, she's like overly analytical, and she's very deductive.
Yeah.
But when she's, on drugs, she's more
deductive.
normal. She's less analytical.
I would like it
at least that's what she thinks.
I would like it if she keeps accidentally solving crimes while she's sober. She's like, all right,
funny show, Charlie.
I'm gonna go to rehab, and I'm gonna, it's gonna be 2 weeks. I'm gonna be in rehab, no drinking, no drugs, no nothing. And she uncovers a human trafficking ring in the rehab center. And it's just like, God damn it, I'm too good. I just can't stop solving crimes. Okay, she's a drug fiend named Isabelle. What's her last name again?
Coldworks.
Coldworks. I like it.
All right. She's erratic, sloppy. She's very good at hand-to-hand combat, but she doesn't kill people.
What's she do?
Because she's just a PI, obviously. She doesn't have a gun.
Okay.
She's not a cop. And she's knowledgeable on most things. You know, like Sherlock Holmes has weird knowledge about almost everything.
She reads, maybe.
Yeah, I see. We'll start off with the pilot, which sort of explains that her like apartment is like filled with books and all that stuff, but it's really just like messy. Like books are not like on shelves; they're just piled, and like there's like 8 books open because she's like reading like 8 different books at the same time.
Okay.
Not
so
like
she's
at
like
the same exact moment, but she's got them all.
She's speed reading.
In progress. No, but like they're all in progress around her room.
Yeah.
Because she can't focus on one at one time.
Okay, so she's got like super human level intelligence. Like she's like able to like mind palace and like figure shit out that a normal human being would not be able to. Like she's super smart.
Well, not like super. She's not like a superhero. She's just like, you know, Sherlock Holmes, where they're just really smart. There's not really an explanation for it. They just are.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes is superhumanly smart. Like no real person's like that. So I'm saying that like her abilities are not normal. Not that she's like she has a superpower or like a witch's curse or whatever. Just I want to make sure that we're getting across that this is not what detectives are like in the normal everyday world. She's like extraordinary.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'd like to see. Anyway, the pilot starts with Isabelle in her apartment, in quite a miserable state. The place is a mess. It's quite obvious that she just came off of a high. There's like, you know, she doesn't remember anything from the previous night. There's like, you know, weird shit all over the room and like weird spills and puddles and crazy stuff. I imagine a lot like the hotel room in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Not as extreme as that, but like, you know, similar, where you can tell that like some shit went down in here.
There's some
but it's not
adventures
really
happened. Is she a particular friend of a certain drug, or is she just like all of them?
We'll get there. I can't explain yet.
Okay.
I'll tell you that at the end. I think it's gonna be all of them, but there is a particular drug that I was thinking.
Okay.
Of.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it's not good. Addiction is not good, but it's good to have a specific drug picked out for a character.
So we start off with her in the apartment. She's trying to recall the events of the previous night, so she's like going around talking to people. I imagine there's like a Chinese restaurant. Like she's in an apartment building, and the Chinese restaurant's on the bottom floor. And
We're going
she like
very...
talks to the owner quite frequently throughout the story, just to like figure out where she was at particular times, because she doesn't know that she left her apartment, but like, you know, the owner will be like, hey, you left around like 10 and you came back around like 4.
Maybe it's a 24-hour like Chinese kitchen, you know, or like a Chinese grocery store, Asian grocery store. So they've got like all sorts
maybe like
of
a
weird
convenience store. Yeah,
like weird foods and weird like meats and stuff. Not weird. Well,
Charlie.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Chinatown? They just got like not safe to eat meat, you know, in those Asian grocery stores.
It's not palatable for your American particulars.
Not all of it is unsafe to eat, but some of it.
You're just
be.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm too patriotic. That's what it is.
That's how I would describe you. Patriotic.
Too patriotic. So does she have a friend?
I didn't write one, so no.
Okay.
I don't think so, based off of where this narrative's going. I think maybe she's going to continually talk to the owner, and they're not really friends, but they're sort of like acquaintances.
Yeah.
Her and the, I imagine, like elderly Chinese owner. So we'll get there. But anyway, so as she's cleaning up her place and trying to figure out what happened, we get back to her in her room, still fixing things up, and she gets a buzz like on the intercom, and it's like a client. She's like, oh shit, I gotta like get ready. And so she like quickly tries to clean up, you know, a table and tries to like dress and look professional. And she buzzes up the client. Client comes up. Doesn't really comment on the sad and obvious state of the apartment.
The client has to sit down in like a beanbag chair.
Yeah, you could tell she's like looking around the client, but she doesn't really say. She doesn't mention it. She just like, it's very obvious through her eyes though that she notices how like crazy this place is.
Maybe she's like, I'm thinking as like traditional, noir PI detective narratives go. This woman who shows up is gonna be all like, she's gonna try and look anonymous, cover her face, mask, glasses, that sort of thing. But she like takes down her glasses and just like looks around. Maybe Isabelle like says like, please take a seat, and she just like signals towards like a stack of books that she's arranged in like a chair-ish position. She's like, take a seat. Funny.
Little book chair.
Yeah, book chair.
Anyway, I forgot where it was. Oh, so the client comes in, right? And she regales the details of a case. So her father was murdered, and he was murdered in his hotel room with the doors bolted and locked. And he was shot in the head. There's no gun, no traces of the bullet. They don't know where the bullet went. And he's just lying dead on his bed. And, it's probably in the newspapers, I think. And it's like, oh, the Phantom Killer or something like that. They give him some cool name.
Yeah.
And so Isabelle decides to take the case. So that is our episode 1, taking the case. Now, at the end of episode 1, we get the sort of second part of the story. So the story is going to have 2 different sort of parts to it. So it's going to be the normal detective Isabelle with normal colors, and it looks like a film. And then the second part at the end of episode 1, everything is going to be really vibrant and colorful, and the world's going to be a bit hazy, and some stuff's going to be moving around strangely.
Like Technicolor.
That's sort of like, cause it's meant to show that she's on drugs. That's the idea. So,
but it shouldn't be like that's I think a big problem with like TV and movies and video games and stuff. They show taking drugs as being like your vision just becomes like really wobbly, and you don't have a center of gravity. And I think it would be good for us if we took this show in a way that like you can tell that she's high based off of how the screen looks, and maybe things are brighter and more colorful. There's stuff like little things happening in the corners of the screen that aren't focused
I pictured
on.
a lot like to go back to that movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is like drug scenes where like you can understand and see everything, but like things are a bit brighter, and like some things are like drooping weirdly, and the camera movements are a bit stranger. And when you move away from the character, you sort of see like maybe how they're acting or moving around strangely.
Like you see how the world sees them rather than the other way around. Yeah, I think that would be good. That would be a good artistic motion for this show.
And in this high part of the show, Isabelle is gambling in like an underground ring with a bunch of gangsters, and she's like winning heavily. And she's playing, and she just beat someone like awfully. Like they owe her a ton of money, and she like runs off screaming, happy and stuff, and like tells like the collector or whoever's in charge of making sure the money is given to her, like, oh, I'll pick it up next week, but make sure like the person that owes me money gives it to me. Anyway, that's how episode 1 ends. I have this really well written out, and I think about it because I have all 5 episodes written out.
Oh my lord!
Because it is only 5 episodes.
Yeah. Well, we might have to do a mini series of this thing if we're gonna plan out the whole season.
We'll have all 5 episodes. It's not they're not incredibly long descriptions once we get to the later ones, because I got kind of tired.
Cool. Can I have an idea for the murder?
Yeah.
the father's murder. I've had this idea for a long time and I haven't had anything to work it into. But I think one of the MacGuffins of the show, like one of the things, is a gun that's completely silent. Because I think it would be like cool to have like, you have a gun that's the size of a cereal box and like weighs 20 pounds. And it's really heavy and unwieldy, but it is completely silent, and maybe it's magnetized. And that's why you can't find the bullet. Like, it shoots the bullet completely silently, and then you press another button and the bullet gets sucked back.
Comes back.
By the magnets.
That's sick.
Yeah, so, and I think it would be very cool to do a fight scene where everyone is trying to get this, like, completely silent gun, and they keep shooting at each other. And, like, there'll be a hole in the wall, but no one will hear anything, and there's no flash.
Oh my god, this is gonna be like Tenet. And then they'll, like, pull the gun, pull the bullet back, and it'll go through the person.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Because I think it would be a good idea for us to introduce a couple, like, things into this plot of the show that are a little, like... I'm imagining the show as being kind of, like, hyper-realized, you know, stylized, but now. You know? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a magnetic silent gun is something that could exist, but doesn't.
Yeah.
Rather than... Because I got kind of Jessica Jones vibes at the beginning, but I think that this show's going to be a bit more irreverent. You know? We'll
see. Now, I think we might be able to fit in your gun into the story, but I want to see what you think once I tell you where it goes, because it might, instead of being the focus of the story, as I think it probably should be, like that kind of weaponry, it would end up being like a very small side thing.
Well, I think
based
you could
on where the story goes. Like you don't know yet, so you'll see. But
yeah, I just think you could do like 1 or 2 episodes, because I don't think it's big enough. Like, it's big enough of a deal to like devote a whole series to. But like, you could do 1 or 2 episodes where it's like she figures out that this is the kind of gun that was used. It's, you know, experimental military tech. Only a few people have access to it, and then she uses that as like a way to figure out who assassinated him at what time, and, you know, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, okay, I think I know how I can fit it in then.
All right, great.
In a way, that would be good. All right, so episode 2, instead of ending with the high sequence, it starts with the high sequence. So it's a very short one, and it's very different. It's her putting on gloves at night as she starts climbing a building. That's it.
Okay.
So we'll see her. It'll be longer because, you know, we'll see her like go up to the building. We'll see her like, you know, start climbing and using some cool tools or whatever.
Maybe she's got like, she might have like, I have a few friends in the CIA because I helped them out with this, that, or the other thing. So maybe she has access to technology that we don't have access to.
I'm thinking like crazy. Cool Mission Impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Ghost Protocol style, like stuff you're using to climb up the tall building in that movie.
Maybe she's got like a grappling hook.
Yeah, I guess.
But it's not like a gun. It's like a telescope. It's like shaped and sized like a telescope, but you point it where you want the hook to go, and it fires it, and then like hooks into the ground so you can like climb up the rope. I don't know, just spitballing. But I think that would be cool. And I think for all the high sequences, we have to get music to play, you know, in the background. Yeah. But I don't think any of it should be like high music, you know? Like there's no drug music, because drug music is a thing that like, oh, we'll play Bob Marley when the guys are smoking weed and that'll be funny. I think it should be like weird, obscure songs that you wouldn't immediately associate with getting high. Okay. You know, songs that you get stuck in your head, because that's what I'm imagining she would be, you know. She would be humming to herself.
Can you think of, is there a specific song you're thinking of?
Well, one song I'm thinking of right now is Mr. Heat Miser from the like old animated.
From the like you know, the Santa Claus old cartoons.
Yeah, the old cartoons. Like, I just think it would be cool. It would be good for this character if she had, like, she is, like, intaking so much
that
information.
might be a good thing. We could do, like, it could be, like, musical tunes.
Yeah, like, she's intaking all of this
and maybe
information.
she's singing along to it.
Or, like, humming with the, like, song, so it's not diegetic sound. It's not, like, happening within the scene. It's just happening in her head.
In her head, but we can hear it, obviously, for real. That's interesting. I really like that. So, I think that'd be good.
And I just think, like, doing songs that you wouldn't immediately relate to, like, drugs. Like, you know, catchy show tunes, ads, you know, ad songs, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just earworms. This was a thought.
Yeah, I like that.
So she's climbing a building.
So that's how it starts and that's how it ends. So we don't really see what she goes up and does. The rest of the episode is her doing her investigation. She first goes to Mr. Kim's office. That's the guy that was killed. The father of the client. The client's name is May. So Kim and May. So Kim was an international businessman. And after going through his office and then going through his house, she finds that through the office, he finds that he was very unsuccessful through talking to his fellow people. They're always like, hey, you know, he would always lose a ton of money at the company, but he would always make it back pretty quickly. Yeah. So he wasn't like good, but he was, you know, he had like flights of
maybe it's
excellence.
Like he had one investor that always had returns.
Yeah,
you know, like he was a terrible businessman. He had no sense for like what deals would fall through and what like products would be big. But every single quarter, without fail, he brought in at least $200,000 to the company or whatever. However, is a lot, and it's like it's weird that he had, you know, one single, you know, payment
account. Yeah,
that was always the same amount.
So then I think that works really well then with what happens next, because she goes to his house and finds that he lives like an extremely lavish life, like even higher than you would expect for someone of his standing. And she dusts the place for fingerprints, and she looks around because she's the first one on the crime scene. I imagine that in this sort of universe, she has like a standing with the police where she can investigate crimes independently if the client comes to her, but has like the
maybe she's got
the abilities of the abilities of the police. So in this universe, the private investigator can arrest people and can investigate crimes. It's kind of like private police in a way.
But they don't have to read Miranda rights and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and they can't kill people.
Yeah, and so you know, you can't sue the city or the state when a private
that's kind of why they want to use
like,
private investigators.
Yeah,
then
like
they sort
brutalizes
of
someone. They can't, you know, they can sue that investigator, but they can't sue the state. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she dusts the place for prints, and she only finds hers, obviously, because she was there, Kim's and his daughters. She's like, okay, that's weird. I guess maybe the guy wore gloves or something. So, no, it wasn't too fazed by that.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the end of episode 2. Episode 3, there is no high sequence.
These episodes sound a little short, so I'm like there's not a whole lot of events happening.
Well,
so
there is a lot.
More.
I'm just trying to get through it quickly because there is 5 episodes.
Yeah, I'm just imagining that Isabelle has a really cool car.
Cool car.
And like a 70s muscle car.
Yeah.
Like she's got a cool manly, quote unquote manly car. And there's just a lot of scenes of her like driving around. I think we need to give her some sort of partner or like a buddy.
See, I thought about that, but I recently read something for a class that was about Sherlock Holmes, and it was critiquing it, and it was about like what's the point of Dr. Watson? And it basically said that Dr. Watson is there to dumb it down for you. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And I just couldn't imagine a reason why she would need a partner. And based off where the story ends, I don't think she should have a partner.
Maybe can she have an imaginary partner?
An imaginary partner?
Yeah.
Oh, that might
Like,
work, actually.
Because if she's she's like super genius, you know, she's isolated, she spends a lot of time in her own head and high, she probably has like an imaginary entity that she bounces ideas off of, you know, just to say it out loud. So
Yeah, that might be good, because we could introduce this character as like a real person. And then it's only really, it just sort of becomes obvious over time that this person's not real.
Yeah, or maybe we could introduce it like it's her sister or something, or her brother that she used to talk to, and the audience doesn't know that that's not really her sister or brother. It's a drug-fueled imagination.
Yeah.
And her sister or brother like didn't talk to her, won't talk to her, hates her, or is dead or something. And it's only revealed like halfway through, like to the audience, that the person that she's been bouncing ideas off of has been her dead brother, who she's imagined. I think that would be a good humanizing thing for Isabelle.
We could also condense the 5 episodes into 3 as well, because 1 and 2 could be the same. I think
if we had like
3 and 4, and then 5 could be independent.
I think we could have 3 1-hour-long episodes.
Yeah, because that's what Sherlock does, the show with Benedict Cumberbatch. It's like each episode is like 90 minutes.
I think it's very difficult to do like investigative storytelling well in like 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think you do need a little bit of time to let everything breathe.
Okay. So maybe we'll do that. But for the purposes of this, because I have it written in my notes a certain way, I'm just going to keep saying episode 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's easier, but we can talk about how we can condense it later. So episode 3, she discovers that to live this life, Kim became an international smuggler. So because he's a businessman, right, he's able to travel the world with relative ease. You know, the airports know him, the people on the staff, they know him because he travels all the time. And he uses this sort of advantage he has to put extra items in his suitcase and bring certain antiquities from certain parts of the world. So maybe in Africa or China to like Europe or somewhere else, or vice versa. And that's sort of the way that he continually makes money. And we could say, because you mentioned that account, we could say that account is really just this like international antiquities
like
association that he works for, or like works with, maybe, that he gets money from for delivering all these things.
Maybe Kim, that's the
guy that died,
right? Yeah. Maybe he can be like paralyzed from the waist down, so he's always in a wheelchair. And I'm just thinking like backwards for like how an investigation like would play out on TV.
Yeah.
Maybe he's in a wheelchair when he dies, and she's doing research and she figures out like right when he started working for the company, he had a horrible accident and lost the ability to lose both of his legs. And in actuality, he got his legs removed so he could.
We can just say that he like fakes it.
No, because he's like, he makes it look like he still has legs, but he's using all of that space to smuggle things.
Oh, that's pretty fucked up. I thought you were gonna say they hide it in the wheelchair.
No, they hide it in his legs.
Okay. I think it'd be better and more reasonable if he instead was hiding it in the wheelchair, and he had legs and he just faked it. Because then you could do like she found out that he was faking this because maybe there was a holiday picture with him and his daughter, and he's standing up, and she's like, oh, that's a little weird. And then she'll go check out the wheelchair, and she'll find like a secret compartment.
Talk to the daughter, and she'll be like, oh, he was enfeebled. Sometimes he could stand, sometimes he can. And it's obvious that she's hiding the fact that she knew that he was an international smuggler.
Yeah.
And she like doesn't want to be caught for that, but she still wants to find out who killed her dad.
Yeah. And then I think
Maybe
that Isabelle
even
would
for
probably
her
make it
own
obvious to
protection.
her that like she does not care at all about the smuggling thing. She's just working on a murder investigation.
Maybe she's talking to her about like, man, you know, you could get in some serious trouble for smuggling, you know, across state lines. They take that drug stuff seriously, and as she's talking, she's like making a line of coke.
Yeah.
Like as to show like I don't give a shit about any laws. Yeah, that's what I think. It'd be funny. But yeah, I still think he lost his legs.
Yeah.
But he lost the ability to use his legs, and he always has a blanket over them, and it's actually like two things that they can't get the X-rays and the machines, they don't work on it. It's like a special alloy that doesn't get picked up, and he can hide whatever in it, and it hides it. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna move on from that because we've gone off the rails a little bit.
Secret legs.
So, and we're gonna go through her sort of, right? Because she finds out he's this, you know, criminal. So her conclusion is that okay, maybe he didn't pay someone, or didn't deliver something, and that's why he got killed. That seems reasonable to her, and so she ends up going through the underworld, which she sort of has relations with because of her gambling habits and her drug enthusiasms.
Maybe we find out like at the end of the second episode, or I'm imagining in the 3-hour-long episode chunks. Yep. But like we find out at the end of the second episode that the last delivery he made, or one of the last deliveries he made of, you know, smuggled equipment was to somebody that she was at the gambling table with.
Yes, that works perfectly.
Maybe it's the guy who owes her a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And she's like, listen, you give me this info and I'll only take half. How does that sound? I'll only take half of what you owe me. Like that sort of thing.
Well, I need the gambling debt for later in the story. So maybe this is a second debt.
Second guy. Different guy.
So someone who also owes her money.
Or maybe she just beats him up.
Yeah, that works too. And from that, the information that she gets is kind of unsatisfactory. Because she finds out that like everyone kind of likes him, you know? No one has any really problems with him. He always delivers on time. And sometimes he delivers extra. It's like, yep.
He's very polite.
He's like a really sweet man, you know?
Yeah, he's like, he gets people like,
Christmas
I got
cards.
you this personalized keychain at the airport. It has your name on it.
Yeah.
Tell your son I said happy birthday.
He always sends like Christmas cards and like maybe birthday cards to all the different criminals. They're like, we love Kim. He's great.
Yeah, he like tips all of the service staff that he has really, really well. And it's like, oh, around Christmas, he got me a new car. It's like, he like is going out of his way to be the nicest person he can because he doesn't want to get murdered.
Yeah.
No. But it still happens.
So, episode 4, she's going around talking to associates still of Kim because she still thinks there must be some connection here. Like, these are the only people I can imagine wanting to kill him. And I don't know all the parts of this episode, but I assume there'll be a couple red herrings, and she'll be like going on a couple of wild goose chases, you know, trying to figure out. Maybe he's got an ex-wife or like some other such nonsense. Maybe his personal trainer was fucking his wife. You know, just all these people that like could have wanted to kill him, but she ultimately finds out that they didn't.
Yeah, they all have like rock solid alibis.
Yeah, and the only piece of information that she finds useful is she learns that May has gambling habits and she owes a lot of money to people, and she's been like cut off from her father, and her father wouldn't give her any more money to help fund her habits.
But why would she hire a detective to investigate the death of her own father? Oh my god, there's so many questions yet to be answered.
Drug sequence we go into at the end of the episode.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
In this sequence, it's Isabelle going through the underworld, really just out of her mind, talking to a bunch of people, handing people money.
Yeah.
And like handing them gifts and stuff.
She's just like, it's like a fast. I'm imagining a scene where you'd never see like her walking in between places. You just see her like in a strip club and she's making it rain.
Yeah, we don't want to see the in between part. We just see like she's there.
And then she turns and now she's in like, you know, a drug den and she's making it rain. Maybe she's like, if she's really fucked up, she's doing like Russian roulette. Like in a basement, there's people betting.
Yeah.
You know, like that scene from Deer Hunter, which, have you seen Deer Hunter?
No, I haven't.
It's got young Christopher Walken in it. It's good. Okay. And Robert Downey Jr. No, that's not true. It's got Robert De Niro. Okay.
All right, and then our final episode 5.
I'm on the edge.
Isabelle learns May had a fight with her father the night of his death. Sorry. And so she uses this information, and she decides to break into May's apartment. And in the apartment, she finds the gun that killed Kim, which they still hadn't found. And so she arrests May for the murder of Kim. Now, we have a drug sequence that's either going to be at the start or end of this episode. And this is the big moment, Charlie. In this drug sequence, Isabelle breaks into an apartment again and shoots a man.
Any man? Or just a man? Wait, it's a backwards in time?
Yes. So all the drug sequences are in the past.
Oh my god,
So the first drug sequence, she's in a gambling den. And she purposely beats, what's her name? May. Makes her owe her a ton of money. In the second one, she breaks into May's apartment and plants a gun. In the fourth one, she goes around talking to gangsters and criminals, and she she's playing Kim. She's going around being nice to everyone so that they all say he's nice. And no, she makes sure he has no other person that would want to kill him.
Yeah.
And then lastly, it shows the beginning of the story, which is Isabelle breaking into Kim's apartment and killing him.
Damn.
So it's like the reverse
cold-blooded, but her... Damn.
And the sort of the idea I was going for is that, like, she is this... amazing detective, but she's gotten bored because the crimes aren't good enough anymore. So she started to make her own.
She's like, she's making her own crimes. She's like the Tyler Durden. She's Tyler Durdening herself.
I don't know who that is.
Fight Club?
Oh, yeah, I got you now.
She's like, there's someone else doing all these things, and I have to figure out who, and then it's her. It's mementoed. It's her.
It is mementoed. I
like that. I like that a lot.
Didn't see that
Dead
coming.
Man Tour. Dead Man's Tour.
That name is not as clever as the other one. I feel like the Businessman's Trip is a alternate name for DMT, and Dead Man's Tour is DMT, like the letters Dead Man's Tour. And the idea with that was that I was trying to make it seem like the title was one thing, which was about the dead man. But you realize afterwards that the title is really about the drugs that she's on.
Yeah. Whenever she does DMT, that's when this other personality, it seems like, kind of takes over.
Yeah.
Maybe that's who she's talking to. Like, that's who she's bouncing ideas off of. It's like a Gollum and Smeagol situation. But there's like another person, and it looks kind of like her, but it isn't her. And at first we think it's her sister, and then we realize this is actually the evil version of her that killed her sister 3 years ago.
Oh shit!
And got her kicked off the force. For
I think I'm good with that, but I think the audience is the only person that should know that, because at the end of episode 5, I want it to be obvious that Isabelle thinks she got the killer.
Yeah.
And I want the show to end with her still out there doing this.
Yeah. She has no idea that she's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Or a killer. We don't know how many cereals she's eaten. Well, that sounds great. In all honesty, that may be one of the best episodes we've done to date.
Well, I think the plot's pretty cool. I just don't... the details aren't kind of ironed out. I really like the idea of the split narrative, one just going in a different direction of time than the other one, and the idea that like the drugs are influencing her behavior in a different way.
Man,
and I like because I wanted to do, because in Memento, right?
Yeah.
One part of the thing is in part of the film is in black and white, and part of the film is normal colored. And I wanted to do that, and I was like, oh, we could do like drugs, and then we could do like different cool colors and stuff like that to sort of illustrate,
make it more fun.
A different stretch of time.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. And with that, I wanted to. Do you have any final thoughts about Dead Man's Tour?
No. Do you like Dead Man's Tour better or the Businessman's Trip?
I think Dead Man's Tour is a little bit more, because we're watching this woman take a tour, quote unquote, of different levels of society.
Yeah.
Because of this dead man. So she's talking to like high-powered, business executives, low-life scumbags, drug smugglers, and like all this, like everything in between. So I think it's good because of the DMT thing and because she's taking a tour of people because of this dead man. And I think, it works.
Sweet.
So, great. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, has been my co-host, editor, producer, pilot, creator, and enthusiast, Jake Gloth, and you have not disappointed me. You brought the enthusiasm I was expecting, and I desired. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. You can find me at Charles_Lungs on Twitter, and you can find the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast on Twitter at VRP Podcast. And I would like to tell everyone to say hello to your mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandparents, anyone, and tell them to listen to this podcast. And then tell yourselves that you're beautiful. Look in the mirror and say it. Good. Goodbye.
Bye.